Kal-El may have survived the destruction of Krypton, but his real journey didn't begin until he hit Earth. But how will the Man of Steel's past color his future? Well, let's hop into the pages of Absolute Superman issue number 6 and find out together, shall we? So then, as we join this brand new issue, we check on in with Kal-El not long after he lost his family, his home, and basically everything he's ever known and loved following the absolute implosion of Krypton due to ecological disaster and political corruption, only in this brand new darker Absolute universe, instead of being a baby, instead of just sleeping until he found a new home, poor teenage Clark drifted alone in the cold vacuum of space for over a year while trying to find a habitable planet. And I have to wonder, is the reason there are less habitable planets because this is Darkseid's universe he built from scratch? Or is that just the way the cosmology has always been? Either way, poor Kal-El is so depressed, so despondent, and so traumatized following what happened to him. He briefly stops eating and even considers ending it all by throwing himself into that big yellow sun over there. Ah yes, the big yellow sun. The one right by the little blue planet that's mostly water. Kal-El isn't even circling the Earth for long when his Kryptonian cells end up getting absolutely supercharged by yellow sun radiation, and because he's older, this all absolutely hits him like a ton of bricks and he ends up falling to Earth like a big fiery meteor. Now, it's down below on the planet's surface in the town of Smallville we are introduced to the absolute version of Ma and Pa Kent, who are honestly much like the mainline universes. An older, loving couple who never had any children and whose farm has sadly fallen on hard times. It hasn't rained on their patch in a very long time, and they begin to think that the Lazarus Corporation is to blame. I mean, after all, their neighbors who sold their land to the massive conglomerate have gotten rain. And if they can build super weapons and flying tanks, then maybe all those internet rumors about giant drones stealing moisture from the atmosphere must be true. Hell, Martha Kent even says she's read online that the Lazarus Corporation has these magical pits that make you younger for $1 million a minute. Huh, how about that? As amazing as all of that sounds, one thing is for certain, this farm is dying and the couple really could use a miracle right about now to change their fortune, and wouldn't you know it, the universe ends up delivering, as at that very moment Kal-El ends up falling to Earth in a massive fireball. Interestingly enough, in this version we don't have to worry about hiding Superman's ship in the barn, as the Soul System ends up just folding the ship and its wreckage into Superman's suit, in doing so making it look like he has giant flaming angel wings. Ma and Pa know that this kid needs help right now. He's just a boy, and whether he's an alien or something more divine, they're the only ones who can actually help him, let alone actually believe what's going on here in small town Kansas. John and Martha take the kid back in and try and nurse him back to health, but it's a real uphill battle. Superman can't actually understand a damn word these two are saying. He is also dealing with massive physiological changes due to yellow sun radiation, and the Soul System just so happened to burn itself out during the crash, and it's currently repairing itself, meaning that Superman is on his own in more ways than just one. But still, despite everything, despite the fear and the destruction, Martha stays true and vigilant, and ends up mothering Kal-El back to health. When Kal-El can actually walk again and take in the splendor of Earth, the irony of his situation is not lost on him. He traveled millions and millions of miles away from another planet only to end up back on a farm all over again. Alien or not, John and Martha also know a farm boy when they see one, and slowly but surely he ends up warming both their hearts, especially Jonathan, who was afraid to actually accept this alien at first. Hell, in a truly sweet scene that makes great use of the language gap, both Martha and John talk about each other to Cal when the other one isn't around. Martha says she's thankful to Cal for reminding John who he was and giving him something to actually fight for again, while John is thankful to Cal for giving Martha someone to actually mother and nurture for the first time in her life. Again, remember, they never actually had children of their own. In fact, Clark doesn't even get the name Clark in this story. Eventually, Saul does manage to come back online, and Cal is able to converse with his new adopted parents for the first time ever. He thanks them for everything, for saving him, for giving him a home, and making him feel like he actually belongs somewhere. Hell, Saul even goes a step further by getting rid of those drones that were stealing moisture. Yeah, it turns out that was 100% true. It won't be enough to save the Kent family harvest this year, but Superman is already bringing hope to people who need it most, it seems, on Earth. Unfortunately, this good deed won't go unpunished, as the Lazarus Corporation ends up catching wind. In an attempt to punish the Kents, Lazarus ends up dispatching a whole army of peacemakers to detain this strange alien visitor. In fact, they call it a immigration infraction. This boy doesn't have any papers and he's working on your farm. Can't have that now. Time to rip him away from his second home and send him somewhere else. Geez, this really ended up hitting a lot harder and a lot more topically than I would have thought, huh, didn't it? Kal-El tries to defuse the situation, but with his back against the wall, the Soul System has no choice but to step on in and protect him, like his parents, Lara and Jor-El, originally programmed him to do. The Peacemakers were defeated that day, but unfortunately this killed any future that Kal-El would have to be raised by the Kents, as he sadly ends up bringing horror and destruction with him everywhere he goes. It's after that Kal-El decided to never have a home ever again, to drift all over the world, to farms and mines and factories where people were almost always being taken advantage of by Lazarus one way or another. A full breadth of human misery which ended up greatly impacting how this Superman sees the world. Now, that's where the main flashback comes to an end, but before the comic comes to a proper close, we end up getting two really interesting stingers. One sees Agent Lois Lane actually tracking down the still-alive Martha. At the old folks' home we had seen a couple issues ago, apparently she is dealing with Alzheimer's, or at least they think it's Alzheimer's because she keeps talking about a son that her and John never had. Oh, but it gets better. It seems that Lois's actions, whether she knew it or not, are actually subtly being manipulated by the Brainiac AI system that runs the Lazarus's military arm. But if Brainiac is running them, then who exactly is running Lazarus? You might be wondering. Well, you won't be too shocked to discover it's actually none other than the brand new absolute version of Ra's al Ghul. He still uses the Lazarus Pit to help him cheat death, but isn't it interesting that this former eco-terrorist over in the main universe actively seems to be trying to kill the planet here in this world? Huh. And so that was Absolute Superman issue number 6, everybody, and overall I thought this was another excellent offering in the Absolute universe, and especially in this series. If this new Superman's life wasn't tragic enough, being old enough to actually remember his parents and the loss of his world, they really end up twisting the knife even deeper by showing us that he almost had a healthy life at home with the Kents, only to have that ripped away from him at the last minute too by the Lazarus Corporation. That's why this Superman is so much more of a moody loner, a wanderer. I also find it kind of interesting too that we're 6 issues deep and we haven't actually seen Metropolis yet. I wonder if that's because when Superman ultimately does decide to lay down roots and actually maybe become a hero to a city, it's going to hit that much harder. Furthermore, it's really interesting to have the major big bad of this new Absolute Superman book not actually be Brainiac, but seemingly be Ra's al Ghul himself. It's an interesting curveball to say the least. Overall, I think I'd feel comfortable giving this one another 9 out of 10. Absolute just keeps killing it from issue to issue, and I cannot wait to see what they have on offer next. Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me and the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.